The allegations are further supported by the defendant's cell phone, his false statements to law enforcement, and his behavior during the Lockman fire, which the defendant is charged with maliciously starting shortly after midnight on New Year's Day of this year, and which eventually became the Palisades fire.
Another important story we're following today, months after those devastating fires swept through the Los Angeles area. Officials arrested a man that they say is responsible for sparking, as you heard there, eventually the deadly Palisades fire. 29-year-old named Jonathan Rinderknecht, who was an Uber driver, allegedly dropped off a passenger New Year's Eve before starting a fire on a nearby trail. So he's now accused of, quote, maliciously starting a fire. That's the one that eventually turns into, after the Palisades fire, burning over 23,000 acres, killed 12 people. He'll be charged with destruction of property by means of fire. May face additional charges as well as we bring in the criminal attorney, Brian Claypool. Good to see Brian, as always. I know had a personal story. If everybody remembers our coverage, we were, at the time, Brian had to evacuate his home. That was the Eaton fire, right? At the time, your home?
Yeah, Connell. Yeah, great to see you again. Yeah, it was the Eaton fire, which was about a mile or two from my house. We were evacuated for over a week.
What do you make of these, and again, just charges right now, just accusations against this man who's actually from Florida, 29 years old. What do you make of it?
Hey, Connell, look, from a purely legal analysis, it's going to be difficult to prove this beyond a reasonable doubt. Why? Because when I first read the article, I thought they had evidence of the defendant actually setting a fire on January 7th, right? Mm-hmm. But as you just noted to your audience, the prosecutors, federal prosecutors, are alleging that the Palisades fire started 6 days after he set this fire in the early morning hours of January 1. Apparently, they had workers work underground to look to see if the fire was smoldering for 6 or 7 days and then created the Palisades fire. Look, that's much different than what I went through here with the Eaton fire. In the Eaton fire, it was close to businesses. There was a camera from a 7-Eleven store that showed a generator blowing up and then starting the fire. That's tangible video evidence of what started the Eaton fire. Here, I really don't know what tangible evidence they will have that a fire started on January 1 created a fire on January 7.
Yeah, like they were talking about digital evidence. I think this on my tablet that I have, this ChatGPT image has been mentioned of this. It's just basically like a burning city that they found on one of his devices, and they have some other videos of 911 calls. They say he was agitated while he was working, and all this kind of thing. But to your point, you're saying that's not enough necessarily. Like there's got to have to be more if you want to build a real case.
Yeah. I mean, think about it, Connell. Like we'd like to see things as evidence, right? Was there an eyewitness to a murder, right? Was there an eyewitness to somebody setting a fire? Was there video evidence, like in the Eaton fire, of the fire starting? I mean, this is a challenging theory. I mean, I'm just being a layman right now. Take off a lawyer hat, and I'm thinking, how can a fire smolder 6 days underground and then start a massive fire like this? I'm just telling you that the element you usually have to prove in a criminal case that's challenging is causation. Was the defendant's conduct a legal cause of the Palisades fire on January 7th? And you're going to have to bring in all sorts of engineering experts and talk a whole new language to a jury to try to pitch to them beyond a reasonable doubt that what started on January 1, that was, by the way, put out, actually caused a fire on January 7th. And one other thought I have, Connell, is why haven't there been charges for murder? Are there going to be state charges? Are state charges going to be brought? 12 people were killed. If they're so solid on this case, this guy should be charged for murder as well.
Okay, so one more point on this, and just to drive it home, this might be repetitive, but I think it's important. So we're saying that he's charged with, this is what they're charging with, starting the Palisades fire. But again, that's not the one, and Brian has made this point a few times, that he actually allegedly started, right? January the 1st, that was what they call that, the Lockman fire? That was January 1st, right? So he starts that allegedly, and then it smolders underground for a number of days, and they say the winds, Santa Ana winds, reignite, and then you get the Palisades fire. So that's a lot of dots to be connected. I get your point.
Yeah, it is. And just real quick for your audience, that's going to affect the civil case dramatically as well. Why? Remember, there's a lot of lawsuits civilly. And these victims now of the fires are not going to be happy with this charge. Why? Because there are two things you got to look at. What caused the fire, right? And then was there a negligence in putting out the fire? What victims have sued for now is, hey, LA, the city of LA, Department of Water and Power, they delayed. They didn't have reservoirs set up. They didn't have accurate or adequate fire hydrants, and that led to a lot of destruction. But now you've got a charge that somebody else caused the fire. Remember the Eden fire? They're suing Southern California Edison for causing the fire. That is under California law, under Prop 51. If this guy is found guilty of starting the fire, that's going to dramatically reduce non-economic damages for victims in that case. What does that mean? Pain and suffering that they endure from the fire. So this is going to have a great effect on the civil cases as well.
Listen, Brian, we always know your analysis of this stuff is going to be upfront and be honest, but especially in this case, you think about you were personally impacted. I mean, I know people out there want to find, who's responsible, but at the same time, you got to make sure you got all the evidence lined up. So I guess we'll see how this goes, right?
Yeah, exactly, Connell. Yeah, great point you're making. I mean, we've got to be careful on who we say or what caused an actual fire. And again, I'm just feeling a bit right now that they've got enough hard evidence, something on a cell phone, unless they've got an admission, right? Unless this guy says on the cell phone they've got, hey, I started the, or I did something that caused the Palisades fire, but I'm not sure they've got enough right now.
All right. So, well, he's been arrested. So to your point, maybe there's something else to it, but that's what we know right now. Our thanks, as always, to Brian Claypool, our